Hi, I'm Joy Vernon, and I am creating today the third video in the series that I'm doing of doing a little bit of commentary on the blog posts that I've written over the years. And so today we're looking at the third blog post I ever wrote. It is, I believe, from October of 2009. And I've been just kind of looking at them, letting you know what I think, if I still agree with things that I said 11 years ago, if my thinking has developed or have come up with some new information or new ways of looking at things. So let's dive in, and I'm excited to share this next blog post with you. Today we are looking at a post that is called Tarotist or Kabbalist. Tarotist or Kabbalist. I was asked a week and a half ago if I am a Kabbalist who is interested in tarot, or a Tarotist who uses Kabbalah to open new perspectives on the tarot. I had to think about that one. And I converse fluently in the symbols of both tarot and Kabbalah. But what I actually am is a ceremonial magician. You could have guessed it a long time ago. What young child revels in intoning long prayers in dead languages, insists that religious services be spoken in archaic dialects, and scoffs when a choir girl passes out from the smog of incense? Only a ceremonial magician in training. One of the primary goals of the ceremonial magician is to gain the knowledge and conversation of her holy guardian angel, or HGA, as we say familiarly. The HGA is a fancy way of referring to your higher self, or the part of you that most fully and truthfully expresses your purpose in the world. In order to connect with the HGA, tools such as Kabbalah, tarot, astrology, alchemy, and so on are studied and applied. If I had to provide a gloss for these tools, I would say that Kabbalah teaches you to understand the divine, astrology teaches you to understand yourself, alchemy teaches you to transform one into the other, and tarot is the language that we use to communicate these conscious intentions to our subconscious. To me, Kabbalah and tarot, alchemy and astrology, Reiki, writing, sewing, twisting wire are all implements to perhaps awkwardly chisel away at ourselves, trying to find and release that eternal perfection, knowing that there's a divinity that shapes our ends, rough hew them how we will. Kabbalah is a symbolic system that describes the process of manifestation. The other tools in our toolbox, tarot, astrology, alchemy, tend to be used primarily in the realm of the mind or of the emotions. How many times have we laid out a tarot spread and without translating it into words, just experienced it, gut punch or caress, as an emotional affect? Some people think they've reached the pinnacle of reading when it becomes that easy for them. But what happens when we end our process there is we leave it all in Yesod, the astral level. We quit the yacht race, as Dion Fortune says. We don't use the tarot to actually make a change in ourselves. I use the tarot to gain insight. Almost all of us say that. I'm challenging people to use the tarot to make real life changes in themselves, which takes it to a whole new level. How can you manifest your next reading? What can you do to take that insight or that emotion and give it shape and form in the real world? By bringing our tarot practice into the material world, we are setting up a current, a channel for the divine energy to find its way into our work. The channel we set today with simple acts of manifestation in the material world is like digging a canal, that later will accept the flow from the divine source into the storage reservoirs of our tarot work and our personal and spiritual growth. Once the canal has been dug, the water will flow of its own accord, but we need to take the initial step of breaking ground and setting the course. And this one is from September. It's from September 25th, 2009. And so that's a lot, but I think the question, whoever asked me that question, I do remember, I'm not going to tell you, whoever asked me that question, that's a big question to ask somebody, you know. And actually, now that I think about it, this question, you know, this question is still relevant, and I still am not sure that I've found an answer there. And what I was thinking, I read this blog post ahead of time, and I thought, oh, I know what I'm going to say. When I'm going to say, now people ask me if I am a tarot reader or an astrologer, but I'm still stuck in this question from 11 years ago. Am I a tarotist or a kabbalist? I'll tell you one thing that's true. I mentioned last video, I created a very in-depth course on tarot numerology, 13-session course, going through the numbers 1 through 10, plus a couple introductory lessons and a conclusion lesson. I consider myself a tarotist. I always have. I am a tarot reader. I have been a tarot reader since 1991 when I didn't even pick up a deck. I looked in on somebody else's reading, and I just started reading the cards. I knew them. I'll tell you that story someday. It's a good one, but at any rate, I consider myself a tarot reader. Yet, when I created this class on tarot numerology from a Kabbalistic perspective, content is 90% Kabbalah and 10% tarot. And I use the tarot as a communication device to communicate the symbols and the higher expression of Kabbalah. And Kabbalah matches with other things too, including astrology. So I use a lot of some basic astrological symbolism also to try to express Kabbalah. Kabbalah is very, very esoteric, very abstract, very theoretical. It's a philosophy. It's a mystical philosophy. And so being able to express it in terms that we're already familiar with makes it so much more accessible. There's other things that you can do to bring it down to earth, so to speak. And of course, those are all techniques that I teach in the class. But even recently, I wasn't thinking of this blog post, but I had to ask myself, I am teaching a Kabbalah course. I am not teaching a tarot course. And I had to kind of come to terms with that. I've made some changes. Just on a practical level, I had to go and change the description of the class, because I can't honestly say that it is a class on tarot numerology. That is the entry into it, but it is so much more than that. That absolutely is covered. We actually get some really good information, and information that I believe you really you don't have to have it by any stretch of the imagination, and you don't even need any numerology at all. And if you want to work with other systems, they all work. But for me, it's really important to have that knowledge of Kabbalah in terms of understanding so much of tarot. But it's not, the purpose of the course was not about learning tarot. The purpose of the course was about connecting with the divine, connecting with the holy guardian angel. And I noticed in here, I said that the holy guardian angel is a fancy way of referring to your higher self. That I went back and forth on this one, and you can tell because I wrote it right there that I thought they were the same. and I teach it in the course, it gets complicated. Some people say it's your higher self. Some people say it connects the astral level of you to the higher self. Some people say it connects the higher self to the divine self. I do think the Holy Guardian Angel is one of the transition points, and I've gone back and forth. I think the Holy Guardian Angel connects the higher self to the divine, but I could still be wrong about that. So who knows? So I'm still asking and answering that question. A lot of the other things that are in here I definitely agree with. It's really important to me, this whole idea of creating yourself. You are a work in progress. You are developing yourself through everything that you do, and that is a never-ending task. It's a never-ending craft that you go through. One of the things that that I wanted to mention is this idea of quitting the yacht race. I think that paragraph that I wrote tends to get a little obtuse if you haven't already read Dion Fortune, so I want to kind of touch base with it again. Kabbalah is a symbolic system that describes the process of manifestation. This is the next to the last paragraph. If you don't bring your tarot reading down into the physical level, if you experience it, if you get the insight from it, if you feel it, and then put the cards away and don't incorporate it, you are quitting the yacht race. And what Dion Fortune says in her book, The Mystical Kabbalah, is that if you are in a yacht race, there is the far buoy and the yacht has to go around that buoy and come back. And of course, if they pull short, if they miss it, they're disqualified. They can't proceed. And so Malkut is the far buoy, and so many of us give up anything that we're doing prior to getting all the way out to Malkut, all the way out to that far buoy. And you can think, if you want an easier way of thinking about it, remember running laps in gym. You're supposed to run down and touch the wall, right? And then run back and touch the other wall. That's not laps. I don't know what this is. But anyway, you're supposed to touch the wall. I mean, like, how many people do if you're watching other people do it, how many times do you notice they reach out, but they don't always come in contact with that? Now, that would disqualify you if it was something, an actual contest. Most gym teachers let people get away with it, but that's grounds for disqualification. That's what the yacht race is. If you don't touch the wall, if you don't go around the final buoy, then you're disqualified. And so when we experience those readings only on that emotional level, only as the I get the feeling of this, I get it, but we don't bring it down. You'd have to act on it. And some people do just get a reading and then immediately act on it. I've seen that happen. But so many people don't. And so that's what we want to address and bring all that stuff down into manifestation. You will see. Side note, one of the things that I have noticed about my writing and about my speaking is that I can be all over the board. So we start with the Tarotist or Kabbalist, and then I say I'm actually a ceremonial magician, and then I end up talking about the yacht race. It flows in my brain, those flow. I'm not sure if I am always expressing it fully to you, but this idea of being a ceremonial magician, of the Holy Guardian Angel and whatever position it plays in our lives in terms of connecting us to the divine. But I guess the thing that I'm talking about now, and then I talk about manifestation, is the other end of that. That the higher self is considered in Kabbalah to rest at Tiferet, or the heart. And so I'm thinking the Holy Guardian Angel connects us to the source from above. But, and this is what's interesting, the other position for the Holy Guardian Angel is the Path of Samek, which is the Temperance card in the Tarot, and it would connect from the heart down to the genital area. And then the path of Tav, which is the world card, goes all the way down to the feet. And so there is that, there are those different ways of looking at this, and that reference to the holy guardian angel sometimes goes above and connects the higher self at the heart to the divine above, but sometimes it's connecting it down. And that's where I'm really trying to go with this. And what I really am trying to say is that it's not about tarot, and it's not about Kabbalah. It's about all of the tools that we have to use to create ourselves. And I'm calling that, in this blog post, I'm calling that I'm a ceremonial magician. I don't even know what to call it anymore. You got to have words to describe things, but I don't have one for this. All I am is about creating ourselves, constantly returning to it, constantly refining it, and continuing to go higher and higher, closer and closer to source, and always to bring it back down to the ground, and always bring it back down into creation. So I think I'm going to stop there. I could go on, and I'll probably come up against some of these ideas later on. The simple challenge in this is, what can you do? What can you do to get around that outer buoy, to bring your tarot readings down into reality? And regardless of whether you get the reading immediately or not, keep working it until something has changed in your life, until you have created what you are desiring. And that's the best advice that I could give you. And I think it's very possibly the advice that changed my life. So, but there's probably a lot of good things that I've learned over the years that have changed my life. So hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Hopefully this was useful. I feel like there's more to say, and but maybe not. Maybe this is just a good place to end for now. The last paragraph here, by bringing our tarot practice into the material world, we set up a current, a channel for the divine energy to find its way into our work. And that's the other thing. When we bring the energy all the way down into the earth, you set up a grounding wire. You set up a lightning rod, a channel for the divine energy to flow down. And if you always do all your work and all your meditations and all your magic rituals to get higher and higher and closer to the divine, you're missing the last buoy. You got to bring it down. You got to bring it down into the ground, and that sets up the channel. And then the divine is amplifying every action you take, every step, every act, everything that you create is being amplified by the divine. Our job is here on the ground, but it's also our job to make the connection so that the divine can amplify what we do. Thanks for sitting with me again, and letting me muse about my about the work that I've done 11 years ago. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.